Welcome to this video. My name is Marian Daun and I'm going to talk about teaching model-based requirements engineering to industry professionals. The work I'm reporting is a collaboration between the University of Duisburg-Essen and the Scheffler Group. But first, let me start with some background information. The work exists in the context of the SPEEDIT project, which aims at developing a method for technology transfer and particularly for bringing a model-based engineering approach into industrial practice. And one aspect is a teaching approach to do this, and this is what these experiences are about we made. In the setting, we must distinguish between the teaching approach and the application in industrial practice. The teaching approach consists of an online course and webinar sessions that accompanied the course. After the participants took the course, the instructed materials were applied in industrial practice in their day-to-day work, and also this was accompanied by webinar sessions, and we had in-person workshops to discuss some matters in more depth. Just a quick glance at the teaching setup. All this information you can find in the paper and also in previous publications that more focus on the course setup. But to give you an overview, the course is about teaching model-based requirements engineering. Therefore, of course, we teach how to create models, how models are understood, and this also means how different stakeholders might perceive a model differently, how models can be evolved, particularly involving different model creators or modelers, and how to verify and validate models. The syllabus also consists of context modeling, goal modeling, scenario modeling, and detailed requirements models. This means, for example, state charts, class diagrams, and so on. But in this video, I'm going to talk about our 8 experiences, or our 8 major experiences we made and that we want to share with you. First, teach requirements engineering with models, not models for requirements engineering. Our participants were experienced requirements engineers, and so our first idea was to focus on teaching modeling and not on teaching requirements engineering. However, it turned out that it is completely different if you do requirements engineering the standard way, the way you're used to for many years, and if you do it with models. And therefore we decided that you need to teach the whole requirements engineering process using models. And so we focused on teaching requirements engineering with models as we would teach it to some novices, and of course experienced persons can go a bit faster, but you need to teach everything. Place emphasis on why and on the benefits. Particularly for industry professionals, it is very important to account for the time they spend and the resources they use. And so you need to explain why they should spend time for learning. And also, when we are talking about requirements engineering, and requirements engineering is all a And when we talk about requirements engineering is always an upfront investment. We must also teach or talk about why this is useful, where the benefits are, and how this will improve their day-to-day work. Beware of modeling languages already known. In our situation, the participants had a lot of experience with SysML, the systems modeling language, and we used partly models from the SysML and other models that were very lookalike. And so participants at the beginning tended to use these models as they were used to, and they did not end up with a requirements model, but with a very decent architecture. And this is not that what we wanted, and so Our takeaway here is be careful if participants already know a modeling language, and you must ensure that they use it the intended way. 4. Pay attention to over and under specification. As I said earlier, participants tended ending up with an architecture description rather than a requirement specification, and this means also that you must pay attention that they do not incorporate too many details or make design decisions right in the requirements models. On the other hand, participants often did not document or model the reasons, the rationales for a decision or for a requirement. And this is something that we definitely want to have in requirements engineering. And so this is also something you need to explain. Why do we need these rationales? Why must it be understandable? How can this improve stakeholder communication? Do not disregard natural language requirements. It's our 5th major experience, and this is we started with model-based requirements engineering and teaching model-based requirements engineering, so we didn't care much about classic natural language requirements, but of course you still have a software and systems requirement specification, and therefore you still have natural language requirements, and so you need to take care for or account for how to incorporate these into your models. And this brings us to traceability, and you need to teach traceability, and traceability does not come naturally, but you need to explain why you need traceability, and you need to show how to trace and what to trace. And this is a very good way to incorporate these natural language requirements I talked about. 7. Ensure appropriate tool support for a teaching environment. This has 2 aspects. We have, of course, a tool environment, a productive tool environment in the company. However, this is very extensive and complex, and here it's very great and hard to understand and hard to fit into. And so we decided to start with a simple tool or simple modeling tools that support the modeling. So you need a tool that supports the approach you are teaching. But of course, in the end, you must also teach the advanced, the extensive modeling tool that is used in the company. But to start with, it is good to start with a simple tool. And finally, support learners in applying the newly learned techniques in real-world settings. This is what we did when we accompanied their day-to-day work and have looked into how they apply the instructed materials in their day-to-day work. And this helps participants a lot. However, and this is something industry professionals often stress to us, is do not start with this. Do not make the second step before the first. It is much appreciated if you start with simple academic examples and teach the approach, the methodology first, and in a second step care for the industrial applicability. So thank you very much. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and have learned a bit about our 8 major findings from our investigation. More information are in the paper, and I hope you also enjoy reading the paper.
Okay, hello again. Welcome to the QA part of our second paper. In this session today, Marianne Down is one of the authors and is here to discuss and answer any questions or any issues that you have about their work. So please remember to write your questions in the chat. They will be very welcome. In the meanwhile, Marian might have a couple of questions. The first one is about the organization, the company where you teach this course. So is this your first experience with this company, or have you trained them before in any other subject or in a similar subject?
No, this is actually our first experience in a training environment with them. The materials or the basic approach for model-based requirements engineering has been worked on with other companies, and then we decided that we want, for the technology transfer or for the teaching approach, we want some company that had no previous experience, that had not worked on defining the approach. And so yeah, then we found Scheffler, or we joined together with Scheffler, and yeah, it was the first experience with them.
Okay. Which one would you think that is the major challenges that you have faced in this experience? The most difficult thing, or a couple of things that you think is the more difficult?
Okay, the most difficult thing, or maybe it comes from that we were a bit naive in the beginning, or that you could also say that we did a poor requirements engineering for what the course should look like. We had certain impressions and discussed certain things with the company, with the management part, how the course should be designed. And then after a first iteration of the course, then we met the users, and they had totally different expectations, or not totally different, but a bit different. So for one example, in the beginning, it was very much welcomed that we would elaborate on their day-to-day work right from the beginning and show them everything in their actual working environment. But it turned out that the users did not really like this approach, because we had not this in-depth understanding of the materials, and they also wanted to see something different. And basically what we have in the university setting, we try to bring in industry examples. And here it was the other way around, and the industry professionals really liked it to start with some academic examples. And this is something that I would do differently, and try to get access to the real users or participants, students of the course earlier.
Okay, thank you. There was another question, I'm sorry, but I cannot see the name of the person who is doing the question because the chat pops up, related to the use of tools versus using papers to design the models. Because this person comments that sometimes if you use the tool, you can get focus on the tool instead of creating the model. So, or what do you think about using what they call an easy-to-use tool? What do you think about this?
Yes, thanks for the really good question. And I think Martin Linz is totally right. At the beginning, you will do lots of work on paper, and also it's not fancy or cool, but participants will see the sense in this. However, there are, for some reasons, they want to easily exchange their models with other users, and they want to send you the models they created, and you give feedback and come in a discussion, and therefore very easy modeling tools, editors. In this case, we used Microsoft Visio because they had a license for Office, just for modeling, and so not that much is in the way or is around. That's right. You can also use paper and pen. In our case, because participants were a bit distributed, it made sense to support this with a very simple tool for modeling.
Okay, and then we have another question by Max. He asked if do you think that this experience could be applicable to teach other techniques and other tools to industry?
It's a very interesting question. I do not know if I have a sufficient answer for this. There are some aspects that are, I think, that are not unique to requirements engineering, and that's more from an industry perspective. For instance, that there's what we found is a really desire to see something else, to think out of the box, to see examples from other companies, also from other domains they are not working in. And I think this is something that is transferable to teaching other software engineering aspects or programming and so on. And then, but obvious, some of our insights are very related to requirements engineering and might not be transferable at all.
Mm-hmm. And to teach students, do you think that you could adapt? What should you adapt to teach this? To follow a similar approach to teach students, so maybe master students, or not sure if bachelor students, but probably master students.
Actually, for this course, we created a lot of videos, and this we use also in our master course on requirements engineering. This works very well, but there's a specific difference you must pay attention to, and this is the industry professionals know how the world works, how that there's no black and white, that you have many shades of gray, and that you sometimes need to be flexible and stuff like this. And students, particularly when they had programming classes and or modeling classes, they are used to having the one right answer and the one way it all works out. And in a university environment, you must pay very much attention to getting the students to know, to understand that sometimes you're not looking for the best solution, but you're looking just for a solution that will work. And this is a bit in the mindset of university education, where you, or from my experience, where you must closely look into.
Okay, and one last question: if you had to repeat this experience again in this same course in the same industry, now that you have all this knowledge, would be anything that you would do different, or you would repeat exactly the same?
We would start a bit earlier with goals, actually. In the beginning, we did not use goal models because they are quite unpopular with industry.
Okay.
But then we came to a point where we understood that we need goal models for giving a brief, easy, structured overview at the beginning of how to manage the requirements. And so this is something where I would not consider so much the popularity of stuff, and focus more on what we know.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much. We don't have more time. It has been very, very interesting. And thank you for all the questions and for the answers. And we continue with